And I think without further ado, I'm going to bring up Rob again. Rob Powers, the president of the Lightwave 3D group. And we're going to bring up Marc Zicree and Catherine. Yes.
We are so excited.
All right.
This, where
and
should
we
I
have
be?
another,
yeah, it's here. I think we only, great.
Good.
So here is your mic.
Awesome.
If you guys don't know, I mean, my gosh, I'm a fan. Let me give you guys a water if you don't have one. Do you have a water? There you go, Catherine. So Marc Zicree is legendary. He is, his experience as a writer and as a producer is, all of my favorite shows this man wrote. And, he now has a project with Doug Drexler and other individuals in the industry that he has funded through Kickstarter.com.
Yes.
An amazing story to show you how today the system has changed to empower individuals, so you no longer have to ask for permission to do your shows or have some executive from somewhere else tell you. You can be the executive, you can make it happen, and Marc is here with Catherine McEwen,
great.
who is one of the lead actresses on his new project.
Excellent. Hi, guys. So, as Rob was saying, I've written for Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5, Sliders, hundreds and hundreds of hours of science fiction TV shows, and Smurfs in my wayward youth, and Real Ghostbusters and all those shows. But I was very interested in this new model in terms of Kickstarter. I did sort of a test run. I did my own Star Trek episode with George Takei called Star Trek New Voyages, World Enough and Time in 2008 with no studio, no network. It was a complete Star Trek episode. You can watch it online. It was nominated for the Hugo and the Nebula, and it had over 700 effect shots. And then we went on a Kickstarter, and we started raising money. And now we have enough money, thanks to Kickstarter, to make the first movie and the first half-hour episode.
But what you mean by you started raising money is that the people on Kickstarter, you guys, everybody in the world, saw his concept that he pitched, and they believed in it and invested in it. And I think beyond what you had asked for or had projected, they overfunded him because they believed in what he was doing so much. He had more than he had asked for from people to fund his idea.
Yeah, and the images that are showing now are the images that we generated. These are not stock. This is stuff that just we're doing. It's this big epic science fiction show. It covers 2 centuries of the future with 2 families. And yeah, the basic model is you don't need a studio or a network anymore. You can do it yourself. You just have to have the right friends and the right software.
That's right. Pipeline choice is so important. If if your good friend is Doug Drexler.
Yes.
I think both of us could say that.
Yes.
But you obviously have leveraged that relationship with him so much. We're talking about an Academy Award-winning visual effects supervisor and artist and genius, Doug Drexler. Amazing. And this man working together, teaming together with an idea. In the old days, you'd have to go to the studio and they'd have to pitch it, and somebody else would have to say, okay, we think your idea is worthy enough for us to invest in that.
Yeah.
He went on Kickstarter.com with his idea and the work that was generated in Lightwave by Doug Drexler and the team, who, by the way, also won multiple Emmys for Battlestar Galactica, who we all, I'm sure most of us love and have watched the Battlestar Galactica series. And they made it happen, and the public saw it and overfunded his idea because of how much they believed in the work.
Yeah, well, our target was to raise $75,000 in 2 months, and we raised it in just over 3 days. And ultimately, we raised $221,000. But there's been this huge ripple effect now where major companies are coming to us wanting to partner with us. And so we're in this interesting thing. And basically, I'm running it like a TV show. We're going to have many, many movies, many half-hour episodes. It's going to be great.
The character I play is called Odara Talin. She's first officer, second in command. And she's very interesting because an alien attack has left her physically and somewhat mentally damaged. So she has to wear an exoskeleton in order to move. So on one hand, the exoskeleton enhances her strength, and she's super strong and super intelligent. She has a computer adjunct on part of her brain. But then she's also immensely vulnerable because without it, she would die within hours. So she's one of those really interesting, complicated women that sci-fi always come up with that I don't often find in other genres, where I have to usually play the girlfriend or the wife. Or sometimes a mother.
All I know is I want that action figure now.
Yeah, and also a moment ago they were showing
Me too.
one of the drawings that our character designer has done of Catherine, and our character designer is Ian McCaig, who designed Darth Maul and Queen Amidala, and he was the lead character designer on the last 3 Star Wars films, and he's designing all of our
So
characters.
you're just slumming around out there. You know, you're just scraping up anybody you can get off the street.
It's great fun, but what you find is if the project is cool, people want to work on it, so you don't.
I think we got, with the microphone over here, we have to carefully,
aim it away.
Yeah.
Okay, good. But what you find is that even though the budget is very low, the quality is going to be very, very high. And so Ian McCaig and Doug Drexler and Catherine and Armin Shimmerman and all these people, Doug Jones, they want to work on what's quality. And science fiction has a great vision, so it's fun.
It inspires us all, and I think this is a very perfect time right now with the Mars rover landing.
Yes.
We all see what the human race can aspire to. Not only is Lightwave behind this project that we're looking at, but I think, did you see the stuff we were streaming yesterday? The Mars rover footage from NASA and JPL
Yes.
was also done. And I think we all have been inspired by this type of work. Your work, your
Yes.
conceptual work and writing it, but now in the driver's seat, as the producer, as the showrunner, as the creator of this, and
Yes.
not having to wait to be empowered by some system that tells you have the right to do this.
That's right.
You've made it happen, and how does that feel? I mean, how has it shifted
nice.
your ability as a creative individual?
Well, the fun part is that I don't have to wait to be picked. And it's very interesting because one of my other projects is under option by a major A-list guy right now. And he said, with Space Command, he said, we can walk this into the studios and the networks if you'd like. And I said, no, because I don't need to. And you might get a good executive and they might not screw it up, but you also, they can give you notes and you have to listen to their notes, and they can say, put a cute animal in it, or put they just wreck it. And I didn't want to take that risk. And also the time that they would take just developing the script, we can shoot the movie, we can shoot the series. We don't, it's a much faster time frame. So we're in great shape. We're in great shape.
I love that. I mean, the fact that the fundamental shift that is to bring a creative individual who thought of these concepts, who
Yes.
thought of these stories, and maintain the quality and the art all the way through the process, because you're in the driver's seat.
Yes.
You're not giving up. You give birth to something as an artist, as a writer, and then the old model was you go with your baby and you go, I hope you take care of my baby. Like don't raise it wrong.
Right.
Take it to church or whatever the thing is. But then they can do whatever they want with that baby.
Yes.
You now are going to raise your child yourself.
Well, yeah, and also I can hire whoever I want to hire. And so if I want to put Catherine in it, I don't have to get network approval. If I want to put Armin Shimmerman in it, or Doug Jones, I don't have to ask anybody's permission. And also I respect the audience. I think the audience is very smart, and the audience resonates to what I resonate to. So I'm comfortable in the relationship between me and the audience, much more so than between me and a studio or a network that might have a totally different objective. That's an economic objective rather than a creative one.
Exactly.
If I could add something to that too, as an actor, obviously it's great to be able to be cast in things that maybe, or at least sizable roles that you might have to usually work your way into. Not that I haven't, but it's nice that we're going to get to see like new faces. Because I'm sure everyone can agree that we get tired of seeing the same actors and the same old faces in so many,
Absolutely.
so many things.
Yes. Well, also the other part is that I'm also able to have a dialogue going on between different departments of my production that normally you wouldn't have. So, for instance, Ian McCaig, who's our character designer, gets to sit down with Catherine or with Christina Moses, who's another actress I'm working with, or with Armin or with Doug Booth, and gets to talk to them about the character and the backstory, and that gets to be integrated into the design of what they look like and what they wear, and then that informs me in terms of the script, and so it's this wonderful give and take. Or Doug Drexler, we bring him into the mix, and so he's talking with Ian or talking with Catherine or talking, it's just, it's like, my dad's got some musical instruments in the barn, let's make a show.
Exactly. What is the process? How has the process changed? And I imagine you're deeply involved in the design of everything.
Yes.
And would you be? Let's say you were a writer on a show.
Yes.
And would they have brought you in to be involved in the designs that you wrote? You created a character.
Right.
Would they have brought you into that necessarily?
It depends on the breaks. Usually, sometimes yes, but in this case, I have total control. The buck stops with me, and so it's basically, if I like something, I say yes. But when you bring brilliant people aboard, brilliant actors like Catherine, or brilliant designers like Doug Drexler, or brilliant character designers like Ian McCaig, you just say, go with your instincts. You encourage that because, I mean, look at what Doug's coming up with. These are just preliminary shots, and they're great. But the other part of it is you can see that's Doug Drexler on the screen there.
Yeah, there's Doug.
But a handsome fellow.
Yes.
And that's one of the creature designs that Ian McCaig has rendered. Those are creatures
Beautiful.
called the Cerberons, and we have posters of those, and we have posters of some of Doug's work that we'll be signing.
If you didn't know, I like jellyfish a lot.
Me too. And but the fun part is that you can you can basically do what you want to do. You don't have anyone. You don't have to explain anything to a studio executive who's not going to get it. But the other part is that this is where the software and the technology is so great because, for instance, Catherine was mentioning that she wears an exoskeleton, but at various points, that exoskeleton there'll be story points where that exoskeleton can be removed from her body and it can move on its own. She has a mental link to that exoskeleton. So that's where you utilize Lightwave and other technologies to animate that exoskeleton for certain sequences. So it's very cool where you'll see her wearing it, but then you'll see it acting independently as well.
That's very cool.
So this is where there's this great marriage between effects and performance. And also, Ian, we're talking also about, with ZBrush and sculpting programs and all sorts of stuff, utilizing Lightwave primarily, where you can, there's a real melding between what you shoot as a practical and what you shoot as CG. And it's funny because I'm doing a book now with Guillermo del Toro, and again, studying his process, he's very knowledgeable about that marriage between what's physically there on the set and what you're designing in pre-production and in post. And so it's really, I don't see the departments as separate. I see them as all...
Not.
Right, exactly.
I mean, the new model is there's a sandbox, and we all collaborate and play in that. These contrived separations of this department's over here, and they never speak to this department and that department. Yeah. That's the past.
Yeah, and by the way, all these logos are shows I've written for. And this is Space Patrol, which was one of the early science fiction shows, so a great inspiration. But in terms of Space Command, there'll easily be hundreds and hundreds of effect shots in every film, in every episode.
And what I love about it is it's almost like kind of a collection of artists and people who love what they're doing. They love the story, they love the art, they love acting, and you guys are in the driver's seat making this happen. It's not happening because of some other motive. No. And I love that. We are so honored to have you both here. It is a pleasure. We have never had you speak before as a guest, but we're so pleased. But I will say that the trajectory of our careers, and the software especially, are really related, because if you look at the history of Star Trek especially, Lightwave, and everyone who's been to my house knows all the action figures and Quark and everybody else. We had last year at the VFX Minds event, Jerry Ryan was the host, and anybody loves 7 of 9, come on, she rocks it out, and and so our histories are closely interlocked, and I think that's because television, science fiction, is such a motivating and amazing thing, but you have to have a complete pipeline that will allow you to tell that story. Lightwave brings that to the table. It has brought it to the table from Babylon 5, which you wrote on. Kiki was in the first episode as a guest star. Beige was in an episode standing over the... Wave Beige to everybody. I mean, we have the family here of people that have brought us all of the great work that we've been inspired by.
Yeah, for any of you who have dreams of making wonderful things, don't wait for the studios and the networks to pick you. It's not necessary. And that doesn't mean that they'll wreck it. We all have movies and TV shows that we love. So sometimes it works right. But it takes such an army, not just an army of people to make those shows, but also an army of people to make the decisions on those shows. The executive suite, it's gotten there's so many more executives than there used to be. And if you need 15 guys to all say yes and all get it, can you imagine trying to convince 15 guys of anything?
Yes.
And all it takes is one guy in a position of power to say the one stupid thing that you have to listen to because they're writing the checks, and it's wrecked. And we've all seen these great science fiction shows. You've heard about them in development, or you see them on TV, and you say, why did that go south? And it's not a mystery when you're in those rooms.
And if the drivers were the artists and the story writers and the actors, it wouldn't be the case.
That's right. Well, the fascinating thing is in the old days they needed, like Sterling needed CBS, Roddenberry needed NBC. Nowadays, if they were making shows now, they'd be going this route. They definitely would be.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
You are a pioneer in this. We are so honored to have you here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know both of you are so busy.
Happy to do it.